Sometimes we confuse where we are with where we're going. We look at the chapter we're standing in and assume that's the whole story. But just because this is the page you're reading doesn't mean this is how the book ends. Somebody in this room has been looking at their life like, God, is this all there is? Is this it for me? You've been wrestling with the thought that maybe your best days have already passed you by, that maybe you've run out of chances, that maybe you messed up too badly to recover. But hear me when I tell you, your current season is not your final chapter. What looks like an ending in your eyes is often a beginning in God's hands. The setback you thought was going to bury you was really the soil that's going to grow you. And I know it doesn't feel like it right now. It feels like everything you dreamed of slipped through your hands. It feels like the doors you thought would open have slammed shut. But can I tell you something? Sometimes God has to close the doors we were too afraid to walk away from, because He knows if we stay there, we'll never step into the more He's preparing for us. See, when you're in the middle of the story, you can't always see the ending. You can't always see how the heartbreak, the disappointment, the confusion, it all ties together. But God is the author, and the author never stops at a comma. He never lets the story end on the sentence of your pain. If He woke you up this morning, if He put breath in your lungs, that means He's still writing. That means there's more to the story. I think about how easy it is to settle into the thought that the season we're in is permanent. We tell ourselves, this must be all God has for me. And we shrink our expectations. We stop dreaming. We stop believing. We start playing it safe. But the thing about God is, He won't let you settle when He knows He called you higher. He'll disturb your comfort. He'll shake up what you thought was secure. He'll disrupt the plans you made for yourself, not because He wants to hurt you, but because He refuses to let you accept less than what He created you for. And I know that feels heavy. I know it feels unfair. I know it feels like you're standing in the middle of chaos with no clear way out. But I want you to imagine the process of a seed. A seed doesn't sprout on the surface. It has to go underground first. It has to be pressed into the dark, hidden in the soil, buried where no one can see it. And in that dark place, where it looks like nothing is happening, that's where the growth begins. That's where the transformation takes place. You may feel buried, but really you're planted. And when God plants you, He's already written the harvest that's going to come out of your life. Don't let the enemy convince you that this season is all you'll ever know. Don't let your mistakes convince you that you've disqualified yourself from God's promise. Don't let the silence of God make you think He's forgotten you. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. You are not done. This is just a chapter, not the conclusion. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is lift your eyes above where you are and start believing again. Believe that God is still able. Believe that your story still carries purpose. Believe that what you see now is not the total picture. Believe that the end of this chapter is the setup for the next one. Because when you believe, even in the dark, even in the uncertainty, even in the pain, you position yourself to be ready for the more God is preparing you for. So don't close the book on yourself just because the chapter is uncomfortable. Don't count yourself out because this season doesn't look like what you prayed for. Don't mistake the middle for the end. God is still writing, and when He writes, the story never ends in defeat. We live in a world that makes us believe brokenness is something to hide. We're taught to cover up the cracks, to keep the pain tucked behind a smile, to pretend like we've got it all together. But the truth is, brokenness is not the end of your story. It's the ground where your purpose grows. It's the very place where God begins to reveal Himself in ways you never imagined. I know when life breaks you, it doesn't feel holy. It feels devastating. It feels like something has been stolen, like something inside you will never recover. You look at the pieces scattered on the floor and you think, How could anything good come from this? But can I tell you something? God does his best work in broken places. He takes the very pieces you thought were useless and builds something stronger, more beautiful, and more purposeful than what was there before. If you've ever looked back at your life and thought, I don't even recognize myself after what I've been through, you're not alone. There are moments that shatter us so deeply that we question whether we'll ever be whole again. But wholeness in God doesn't look like perfection. Wholeness in God means you've allowed him to enter the cracks and the scars, to pour his presence into the empty spaces, to make beauty out of what was once ashes. I think about how fragile we all are, though we pretend to be strong. One heartbreak, one betrayal, one loss, and suddenly the mask slips, and people see the real us. And in that place of vulnerability, we often think we're less valuable. But what if that's the very moment when you're most usable? What if the brokenness you're trying to hide is actually the evidence that God's hand is on your life? Because he doesn't use perfection to reach people. He uses the broken stories, the scared testimonies, the messy miracles. That's what makes people believe it's real. Some of you have been asking, why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to lose that relationship? Why did I have to struggle like this? And while I don't have all the answers, I can tell you this, your brokenness is not wasted. God never wastes pain. What broke you is going to birth something. The tears you cried watered a seed. The heartbreak prepared the soil. The loss dug a deeper well in you so that when joy comes, it won't just be surface level. It will overflow from a depth you didn't know you had. And I get it. Being broken is uncomfortable. It makes you feel exposed. It makes you question your worth. It makes you wonder if you're even worthy of being used anymore. But can I flip that for you? The fact that you're broken is proof you've lived, proof you've loved, proof you've taken risks, proof you didn't stay in the shallow end of life. You let yourself be vulnerable, and yes, it cost you, but it also prepared you, because a heart that's never been broken can't carry the same compassion. A soul that's never been wounded can't minister with the same depth. Brokenness gives you empathy. It gives you authority. It gives you a voice that reaches people who are hurting just like you once were. And here's the good news. You don't have to put yourself back together. That's God's job. Your job is to stay open, stay surrendered, stay available. Your cracks are not liabilities. They are the entry points for his glory. That's why the word says his strength is made perfect in weakness, not in your pretending, not in your performing, not in your filtered version of life, in your weakness, in the place where you feel the most unqualified, the most fragile, the most ashamed. That's where his strength shines the brightest. So if you feel broken right now, I want you to stop seeing it as your end. It's not your end, it's your soil. It's the place where roots are forming, where growth is happening underground, where God is planting a future you can't even imagine yet. What looks like a fracture in your life is actually the fault line where purpose is about to break through. Don't despise the cracks. Don't be ashamed of the scars. They are proof that you've survived. And they are the very places where God will show his glory the loudest. You may be broken, but you are still chosen. This brokenness is not the end of you. It's the beginning of something greater. One of the hardest seasons to endure is the hidden season. The season where it feels like no one sees you. No one recognizes the work you're putting in. No one acknowledges the sacrifices you're making. You're showing up. You're pushing forward. You're trying to be faithful, but it feels like you're invisible. And I know how frustrating that is, because everything inside of us craves validation. We want people to see our growth, to applaud our efforts, to celebrate what we're building. But what if the season where no one sees you is the season God is using to shape you? It's in the silence that he develops your character. It's in the unseen moments that he strengthens your spirit. When there's no applause, no recognition, no affirmation, that's when God is testing your motives. Are you doing this for them, or are you doing this for him? Are you rooted in people's approval, Or are you anchored in God's purpose? Because if he promotes you before he prepares you, the way the platform will crush you. That's why the hidden season matters. Think about it. Before David ever held a crown, he held a slingshot. Before anyone called him king, he was just a shepherd in the field, taking care of sheep. No spotlight, no recognition, no audience. Just him, his sling, and his God. But it was in that hidden place where he learned how to fight battles. It was in that field where he cultivated the faith that would one day face Goliath. The field doesn't look glamorous, but the field is where the foundation is built. And that's where some of you are right now. You're in the field. Nobody knows your name. Nobody's calling on you. Nobody's posting about you. But don't despise the hidden season. It's building you. It's training you. It's stripping away everything that doesn't belong. So when the moment comes, you'll be ready. The danger of skipping the hidden season is that you end up craving attention more than you crave transformation. You start chasing visibility instead of growth. And visibility without substance is dangerous. That's why some doors haven't opened yet. That's why some opportunities haven't come your way. Not because God is punishing you, but because he loves you too much to put you on display before you're ready to carry the weight of more. You see, hidden seasons also teach you resilience. When you keep going with no applause, you develop discipline. When you keep sowing even though you don't see the harvest yet, you build endurance. When you remain faithful in obscurity, your roots grow deeper. And the deeper your roots, the taller you can stand when the storms come. The hidden season is not rejection, it's protection. It's God's way of saying, I'm guarding your growth until you're strong enough to handle exposure. But let's be honest, the hidden season hurts. It makes you question your value. It makes you wonder if you've been overlooked. You see other people rising and you think, why not me? Why am I still here while they're moving forward? But what if their promotion would be poison for you right now? What if your foundation needs one more season of strengthening before God launches you into the more he promised? Sometimes what feels like being overlooked is really being preserved. And when you finally come out of hiding, people will think you showed up overnight. They'll call you an overnight success. But you'll know the truth. You'll know about the late nights, the tears, the prayers, the sacrifices, the unseen battles. You'll know that the hidden season was where God made you. And that knowledge will keep you humble. It will keep you grounded. It will keep you grateful, because you won't just be standing on a platform. You'll be standing on a testimony. So if you feel hidden right now, don't fight it. Don't rush it. Don't despise it. Lean into it. Trust that God is working in the silence. Trust that he's sharpening you when nobody's watching. Trust that he's building you for something bigger than you can see right now. Because the same God who hid you is the same God who will reveal you when the time is right. There's a reason you feel stretched right now. There's a reason life feels uncomfortable. Like you're being pulled in directions you never asked for. Stretching always comes before elevation. You can't step into the more God has for you while staying the same size you were in the last season. Expansion hurts because it means something inside of you is growing to hold what God is about to pour in. Nobody likes the stretch. Nobody wakes up and says, God, please make me uncomfortable today. We want growth without pressure. We want blessings without responsibility. We want elevation without the weight that comes with it. But God knows if he gives you more without stretching you first, you won't be able to hold it. The blessing will feel like a burden, and instead of carrying it with strength, you'll collapse under its weight. So he stretches. Think about it like this. When a mother carries a child, her body has to stretch to make room for what's growing inside. And that stretching doesn't feel good. It aches, it pulls, it changes her in ways she can't reverse. But it's necessary because the new life inside of her is demanding more space. In the same way, When God plants something new inside of you, dreams, vision, calling, your spirit has to stretch. Your capacity has to grow. Your mindset has to shift. The stretching is not punishment. It's proof that something alive is developing in you. Some of you are in that exact place right now. You're saying, why does everything feel so heavy? Why do I feel like I'm under pressure all the time? It's because God is enlarging you. He's making room for what you prayed for. You thought the answer to your prayer would come neatly packaged, easy to carry, light to hold. But God says, no, I'm going to give you more than you asked for, and more requires stretching. But here's the thing, stretching doesn't just change your capacity, it changes your character. When life pulls at you, when trials push you, when you feel like you're at your breaking point, that's when endurance is formed. That's when resilience is built. That's when faith stops being theory and becomes your reality. Because when you've been stretched and survived, you know you're stronger than you thought you were. You know your faith is deeper than you realized. You know God is more faithful than you ever imagined. I know it feels like you're at your limit, like you can't handle one more thing. But have you noticed that you're still here? Have you noticed that the thing you thought would break you only bent you? Have you noticed that the nights you thought you wouldn't survive turned into mornings you're still standing in? That's the evidence of stretching. You're being expanded beyond your own strength so that when the elevation comes, you'll have the capacity to hold it. And sometimes stretching means God pulls you out of circles you thought you needed. It means He removes relationships you thought were forever. It means He closes doors you thought would always stay open, because elevation can't be attached to everything and everyone. If He's taking you higher, not everyone can go with you. And though that separation hurts, it's part of the stretching. It's part of God enlarging your space, pruning what doesn't belong, and preparing you for something greater. Don't confuse stretching with breaking. Breaking destroys, but stretching prepares. You are not breaking, you are being made ready. Every pull, every pressure, every uncomfortable place, it's evidence that God trusts you with more. He wouldn't stretch what He didn't intend to fill. And when you finally step into that next level, when you look back at this season, you'll realize the stretch was worth it. You'll realize that the very things that hurt you were also the things that built you. You'll stand taller. Walk stronger, speak bolder, because you endured the stretch that prepared you for elevation. So don't run from it. Don't resist it. Let God stretch you. Let Him expand your vision. Let Him increase your faith. Let Him prepare your spirit, because the stretching is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to lift you. One of the greatest lies the enemy whispers is that what you lost is gone for good. That when something is taken, when something slips through your hands, when life doesn't turn out the way you hoped, you'll never recover. But the truth about God is that He doesn't just restore, He multiplies. He doesn't just give back what was taken. He gives back pressed down, shaken together, and running over. What you thought was the end is really the setup for overflow. When you look at loss through the lens of pain, it feels final. It feels like nothing can replace it. And in some ways, that's true, because God isn't in the business of replacing. He's in the business of increasing. He's not trying to give you a replica of what you had. He's preparing to give you something greater, something deeper, something that carries the weight of the lessons you learned while you were waiting. Think about Job. He lost everything, his family, his wealth, his health, and yet the story didn't end there. God restored him, but not to where he started. He restored him with double, and that's the God you serve. He's not intimidated by what you've lost. He's not shaken by what you've been through. He already factored the loss into your purpose. He already planned the multiplication before you ever felt the subtraction. But here's the part we often miss. Multiplication usually comes through brokenness. It comes through surrender. It comes through letting go of what we thought we needed so God can show us what we really needed. You can't cling to yesterday and still have hands open for tomorrow. Sometimes God has to allow things to leave your life because if they stayed, they would have limited you. And it hurts. It feels unfair. But when you finally see what he's bringing in its place, you'll understand why he couldn't let you settle. I know right now it feels like you've been emptied out. You've cried until you felt like there was nothing left inside of you. You've prayed and wondered if God even heard you. You've looked at the empty spaces and thought, this can't be part of his plan. But what if the emptiness is the very evidence that multiplication is on the way? Because God doesn't pour into full vessels. He pours into the ones who've been emptied. The ones who've made room for him to move. The ones who are willing to say, God, I don't understand it, but I trust you. And let me tell you, when he pours back into you, it won't look like what you lost. It'll be greater. It'll be richer. It'll carry purpose. That relationship you lost, it broke your heart, but it also made space for a love that will honor who you really are. That opportunity you thought slipped away. It left room for something you weren't even qualified for on paper, but God qualified you in spirit. That season you thought was wasted. It's being redeemed with influence, with wisdom, with impact that you could have never carried without going through the fire first. God is not a God of replacements. He's a God of multiplication. And multiplication means you won't just get back. You'll get back more than enough. More peace, more strength, more wisdom, more joy, more resilience, because what you carry after the loss is greater than what you carried before it. So don't despise the subtraction. Don't curse the empty places. Don't get stuck staring at what walked away. If it left, it wasn't meant to limit you. If it broke, it wasn't meant to bind you. If it ended, it wasn't meant to define you. God is not finished. And what he brings back will not just replace what was lost. It will multiply into something that makes you say, now I see why I had to go through it. You may have lost something, but you didn't lose everything. You still have breath. You still have destiny. You still have a God who multiplies. And if he allowed you to be emptied, it's only because he's getting ready to fill you again, this time until it overflows. What God is preparing in you is not just for you. It would be easier if it was. It would be simpler if all you had to carry was your own healing, your own breakthrough, your own victory. But the truth is, the more he's preparing you for is bigger than your own life. It's connected to the people you're going to impact, the lives that will be touched by your obedience. The ones who will find hope simply because you didn't give up. We don't always realize it in the moment, but our stories are not isolated. Every tear you've cried, every battle you've fought, every lesson you've learned, it's all part of a bigger picture. Somebody is going to need your testimony to believe they can make it. Somebody is going to need your survival story to keep them from giving up on theirs. That's why the preparation feels so heavy. Because God isn't just preparing you for yourself. He's preparing you to carry others with you. When you think about it, even Jesus didn't go through what he went through just for himself. Every wound he took, every trial he endured, every battle he won, it was for us. And in a smaller but still powerful way, your story works the same. That betrayal you survived. Someone else is going to need your wisdom to navigate theirs. That loss you thought would break you. Someone else is going to need your strength to remind them they're not alone. That dark season you thought was going to kill you. Someone else is going to need your testimony to prove that survival is possible. This is why you can't quit in the middle of your process. Because if you quit, who misses out on what God wanted to do through you? Who doesn't get the encouragement you were supposed to give? Who doesn't see the example of faith you were meant to live out? Your yes is tied to someone else's freedom. Your perseverance is tied to someone else's healing. Your faithfulness is tied to someone else's breakthrough. And I know that feels like a lot of weight to carry. I know it feels unfair that the battles you're fighting aren't just about you. But here's the beauty of it. God never asks you to carry it alone. He equips you. He strengthens you. He surrounds you with grace for the assignment. And when you finally step into the more he has for you, you'll see it was never just about your personal blessing. It was about building a legacy that ripples into generations. That's why the enemy fights you so hard. That's why the attacks on your life have been so strategic, because he knows if you ever realize how many people are connected to your destiny, you'll stop playing small. You'll stop doubting yourself. You'll stop disqualifying yourself, and you'll start walking in the authority God already gave you. The fight over your life isn't just about you. It's about the chain reaction your obedience is going to set off. Think about it. Every time you choose faith over fear, someone watching you is inspired to do the same. Every time you keep moving forward despite the pain, someone else gains the courage to keep walking in their own storm. Every time you testify about God's goodness, someone who was about to give up finds the strength to hold on a little longer. That's the power of your story. That's the weight of your preparation. So when it feels heavy, when it feels lonely, when it feels like too much to bear, remind yourself, it's bigger than me. It's not just about me getting through this. It's about someone else seeing me get through this and believing they can too. My healing is their hope. My growth is their guide. My breakthrough is their blueprint. And when you finally step into your more, it won't just be a victory party for you. It'll be a celebration for everyone connected to you. They'll see what God did in your life and realize he can do it in theirs too. Your elevation will echo. Your testimony will ripple. Your faith will leave footprints for others to follow. That's why the preparation feels so intense, because God is building you not just for personal blessing, but for generational impact. You are carrying more than your own story. You are carrying the future of others inside of you. And when the time comes, they'll thank God you didn't give up.